Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now we're going to chat today about a transfer story that has broken in the last half an hour. It's come from the legend that is Fabrizio Romano. He is absolutely obsessed with Celtic nowadays. I heard he's on the waiting list for a season ticket. He has reported that we are interested and in talks with Tottenham Hotspur to bring in former England goalkeeper Joe Hart. Yeah, not quite sure how to feel about this totally. I've been on social media just to kind of gauge the general reaction of the Celtic support, and in general, I think it's relatively negative, the reaction. I feel probably similar to a lot of that, but I can't deny there's a small part of me, maybe about 20-25%, that's just thinking maybe this could work. Now, we know Joe Hart isn't the goalkeeper that he was a decade ago, and we know that even a decade ago, I was never totally convinced by Joe Hart as being as world class as some people down south suggested. He was at Spurs last season, barely. He didn't play a single minute in the league for them last campaign. He was effectively their cup goalkeeper. He played 2 games in the FA Cup and he played 8 games in the Europa League. So that's 10 in total. Basically, when it got to the tougher rounds of both the FA Cup and the Europa League, Joe Hart was binned for those rounds. So he wasn't even their cup goalkeeper. He was their early round up against Dross goalkeeper. But he did still play a few games for Spurs last season. He has basically gone downhill a lot since he left Man City about 5 or 6 seasons ago. In that time, as well as Spurs, he's played for Torino, West Ham and Burnley. He played a full season for Torino, was their number 1 in Serie A, played half a season for West Ham and the same for Burnley. Couldn't really nail down that number 1 spot for either of those sides. He's 34 years of old. He's 34 years of old. Did you know that about Joe Hart? And also, he had 75 caps for England, although the last one of them was away back in 2017, shortly after Lee Griffiths dispatched that second free kick in the space of a few minutes past him. Yeah, those 2 free kicks are just a perfect example of why I was never convinced by Joe Hart. I always thought he was kind of quite vocal, quite commanding, coming out and collecting crosses. Decent with the ball at his feet as well. But the main thing you want from a goalkeeper, and the main thing that Barkas has been criticised so much for, I think is something that can maybe go for Joe Hart as well. I was never massively convinced by his shot stopping. I thought there was a lot of goals that he let past him that he shouldn't have let past him. For example, I always felt Fraser Forster was a far better option and should have played much more for England in that spell between about 2010 and 2015 or 2016 when Joe Hart racked up so many caps. Ange spoke yesterday about the fact that Celtic want to do this right in the transfer window this summer. We don't want to bring players in for the sake of it, because he says if you bring players in quickly, you'll maybe keep people happy at first, but then 6 months, a year down the line, we'll find ourselves in the exact same position. So I'm all for the recruitment team and the club as a whole trying to get this right rather than being forced into making decisions. I'm just not sure whether Joe Hart would constitute getting this right. It does feel like, it's a bit of a kind of look around the English leagues. Who could we get in really quickly and sort it? When in fact what we should be doing is, or what we should have been doing for the last months and years, is scouting a goalkeeper who could come in, who's younger and could do it for us. Now, I understand that Stevie Woods is a bit of a miracle worker. He's done it on several occasions in his time at Celtic. He's done it with older keepers as well. The most obvious example is Craig Gordon. Craig Gordon was 31 when he came to Celtic. Joe Hart is 34. So, there's a few years gap there, but I think there's definite similarities in those two. Their careers have basically come to a standstill, and coming to Celtic, they could reignite them under someone like Stevie Woods, who is so good at what he does. So I wouldn't completely write off the possibility of Joe Hart coming to Celtic if he does indeed come and ending up being okay under the guidance of Stevie Woods. But time will tell. Just to give you an insight into where Joe Hart is at the moment at Spurs, they recently signed a goalkeeper from Atalanta, Pierluigi Gollini, not to be confused with the former ref Pierluigi Collina. he is a pretty good goalkeeper. They've got Hugo Lloris as well there. So Joe Hart is at best third in that list, so I'm not too surprised to hear that he's interested in a move to Celtic anyway. He's on 50 grand a week reportedly with Spurs. He's got another year to run on his contract, so what would we be paying him? Again, would it be worth it for a goalkeeper who has not exactly covered himself in glory on the pitch over the last few years? One thing I will say about Joe Hart is that he is very, very vocal. In fact, it's shown by this clip that I remembered. Yeah, so he's not going to suffer fools gladly, with the fools in question being our current backline. I think that is another criticism of the goalkeepers we have at the club at the moment. None of them really seem to be commanding. None of them really seem to be a vocal presence. Joe Hart certainly would be. So, yeah, as I say, in general, I think we could do much better than Joe Hart given his recent pedigree. But, you know, stranger things have happened, and him coming in to a club where he'll be trusted to be number one, you would assume, given his pedigree over the last 15 years or so, and turning it around. It's happened with Craig Gordon. It's happened with numerous other goalkeepers. Fraser Forster was younger, yes, but he became the goalkeeper that we remember last season as well. It could happen with Joe Hart. That's all I'm going to say for now. I'm sure this is a story that will develop over the coming days. We've also heard from Fabrizio Romano that Aurelio Buta is still very much an option that we're looking to pursue. So hopefully that's one we hear about as well, because God knows we need a right back as well. Two more wee things I'm going to mention. I don't know if I should mention the first one. Basically, I got approached by a Czech data analyst, I think, with regards to supplying information, ratting on my own Celtic club, becoming the caddy. Any Line of Duty fans out there? Obviously, I asked a price, and when he told me there was no money in it, I decided that I wouldn't bother doing it. I don't want to help the opposition. The opposition in question, I should have said, by the way, are FK Jablonec, who are potential opponents for us in the Europa League next week if we go out in Denmark tonight. I could have just bammed them up and said that Anthony Ralston was our best player and Odsonne Edouard should not be marked at all, just given the freedom of the park. But yeah, I'm not going to give the opposition any advice on Celtic. The other bit of news that we've got, and this is quite exciting, I've been hinting at it for a wee while, I can reveal that Jackie McNamara will not be the only former Celtic player who will be a regular pundit on 67 Hail Hail this season. Yes, we've signed another one. His first date with, well, me, is on Monday. So you'll get to see that video on Monday. But I'm going to give you a wee teaser of who it is. It's a very, very blurry photo. You're only going to get a few seconds. Of course, you can pause as well. Any idea who that is, folks? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. We're back tonight with the live reaction. Fingers crossed for a good result in Midtjylland. Take care and hail hail.